morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everybody around the world. Hello and welcome to another Monday live opening bell in possibly the best stock market in the world to trade, of course. And we're talking about the American stock market today. Hello to everybody out there. We've got heaps of long-time reoccurring members out here. We've got Sandollar, Siddharth, hello, Spot Price. We have Phil, Gareth, good to see you there. Buzzblads, good to see you as well. And Brian and everybody else. So hello to everyone. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a potential bullish morning on the stock markets. But what will happen in the close, obviously, is always going to be the key. Big dollar moves coming into the session as well and this comes off the back of some data. You'll see here on the right-hand side on the trading view kind of headlines, there's a little bit of information that's came out last week. Overall, though, whole bunch of stuff coming through for the dollar in terms of price action, and it is back down at these 93 kind of, well, it's actually a little bit under 93.30 now into the opening bell. This is not the best kind of movement here from US dollar. $10.77, US $4, keeping the coffee going. Actually, I might be making a coffee a little bit later during this stream, $10. I got up way too early today and definitely will be doing it. All right, not just yet though, not just yet. So what's happening this week? We'll get started just quickly in some of the information that's going to be coming out. So we have Netflix on the 20th, obviously in the US, big announcement there. We've got Tesla, big announcement there. I would like to ask the room, do we think as a community that Netflix will hit or will it miss earnings? I would love to know everybody's opinion on this one. Will Netflix hit earnings or miss earnings? The price action certainly telling us something, but it's testing off these resistance highs. I actually loaded this chart up and I thought it was worthwhile talking about this one. We've got a triple MACD divergence here through the MACDs. If anyone wants to know as well in the community, I'm using the MT4 MACD indicator here. So the MT4 MACD indicator is what I kind of like. I like it because I can use it very easily for kind of these humps here in the MACD, and this gives you a very good idea of working out divergences within channels, within ranges overall. A lot of people saying hit here. Target to hit, target to hit. What do the monkeys say, says Siddharth. Absolutely. Hi, Christina. Good to see you there. Yes, so a lot of people saying hit. I will bring up what the monkeys think. Let us find out what they think. 1 second, everybody. Let's see what the expectation is for Netflix in terms of current consensus estimates. Anyone want to give a guess on that one? Estimates are currently pretty high, it looks like. We're loading up that market data just on the other screen. So I want to bring up this chart because I think this just always brings up great learning experience for everybody out there when it comes to learning how to interpret price action and the types of things that often occur. Generally, we see price action attempting a resistance or a support into news. So I wouldn't be surprised at all today to see a little bit of bullish action here for Netflix and possibly even going back up to this 550, 560 area. Generally, it's a good sign when you have markets hitting a level of resistance or a level of support into news. What the news will then do is it breaks through and closes above that level, usually goes on a little bit further, and then comes back and tests it. Remember, testing of resistance or support is more than normal into news. And if you ever see a really key level of resistance or support being tested, you haven't checked the news yet, what a great signal to be able to say, okay, I better go and have a look at that again and just check that out. Yeah, my data's not loading here. 1 second, guys. Not sure why my estimate data is not loading here, but I will pick that up. Somebody in the room, Buzz says 561. So basically pretty close to the expectation. 561 is the current 12-month expectation average for this share. Very, very close where is what it is. Pre-market for Netflix looks decent right now. So we've got a 0.39 up in the pre-market, 532. If we have a look at things like the 4 hour as well, I think we can see why. Our favorite 20 is all I've got on this one. Remember, if you're only going to use one moving average ever, guys, it's always going to be that 20 moving average. Exponential is our favorite, and that's because, of course, it puts more weighting on the last couple of candles, on the present price. We want to be as most market adaptive as possible. So we've hit the 20. We know it found up support on the 20 previously in this little kind of run up through the channel. But I do think that while it did wick twice out of here, overall we've got kind of this 560 zone as being some form of resistance. So again, I wouldn't be surprised to see some bullish action here, potentially a decent bullish day for the Netflix into the announcement overall. One to watch. We'll be watching this in the pre-market movement as well. We'll see what happens there, but it hit that 20, and considering what we've been looking at on the Nasdaq, on the S&P, in the futures, overall the futures are decently bullish. We've got a 0.97 reading coming into the market open here in terms of the Nasdaq. It closed down low on the 50 exponential moving average. It's moved up. This is the type of thing that we're looking for this week. So if we go down to maybe the 1 hour here on the Nasdaq, we'll probably be needing to see a new peak formed. And if it forms a new peak, gets through that 12,000 and forms a close, especially if it ever gets past this week, we will be seeing the Nasdaq most likely testing 12.2. For anyone that's a new member or a new kind of joiner of the community, remember the Nasdaq has been trading in the 200-point ranges recently. Very strong 200-point, very good intraday trading on the Nasdaq. I think probably one of the best target levels we've seen in quite some time has been 200-point differences in the Nasdaq. Just so good. I mean, we had the 11.6 resistance. It broke through, went through all these 200 points here, found resistance at the 12.2, which we did think was going to happen just based on that previous support over here on the left-hand side. Then it's found the resistance, come down through the 12,000, hit the 11.8, come back up, hit the 12,000 from the bottom end, found resistance, come back down to the 11.8, and now it's in between. So today, if we trade up to 11.2, we probably, the 12,000 zone, we probably should see some resistance there. There will be some form of selling pressure, at least on some time frame on the Nasdaq. I'll be watching resistance at 12,000 and of course support at the 11.8 still. Sandola would like me to check some data news. What specifically did you want to take a look at, Sandola? Send that through, man. All right, I'll go to the chat here. Quite a lot of questions coming in. Siddharth says, my buddy said Tesla would pop back up to 448 before going down. Boy, was he right. Hit 448 at 3 a.m. Yeah, so if we look at the Tesla coming into the pre-market open, we do have that going up. Now, a few reasons why that is. I actually loaded the article. So here's the article. Tesla stock rises after Wedbush's Ives lifts target to $500. So this is a little bit of a lift, a little bit of an estimate upgrade here, which is always important to stocks. It does move stocks, at least for the first day or two, when these type of events and information come out. If you ever get an idea or insight into a few big prominent places potentially doing an upgrade, it's almost like insider trading, isn't it? It always seems to do all right. Bring up that chart there for Tesla. We've got a 1.51% up pre-market. We do have that fake out that happened last week. The closed body above the 450 area, above this 455. Still holding the 20 exponential moving average for now. So for anyone that was buying kind of around this level, lucky for you today that it's slightly up. And obviously into an announcement, it's going to be pretty wild. Jemin, good evening. Good to see you here. Tim says, I'm on my 6th coffee coming from a 24-hour shift. No worries, man. I used to drink about 10 of them. That was wild. You get the shakes after about 7 or 8. But nowadays, I'm down to about 4. So 6 is a good effort. Brian says, Nasdaq is a total head wrecker these past weeks, kind of bipolar. It's certainly been a pretty wild kind of market in terms of the way that the Nasdaq has been moving. So Tesla overall, I think, will be very, very interesting. It's at that resistance support zone, coming into really a big announcement this week. It needs to meet it. We saw, of course, the drop in the Model 3 price, and that's been pretty significant. It's actually brought it down quite a lot here in Australia as well. And I would be definitely watching these charts. If we go back over to the US earnings as well, things like Procter & Gamble here, also pretty interesting. Intel will be an interesting one. We've seen a little bit of pickup in Intel. It's got the opportunity to fill a very large gap this week. We'll be looking at that stock in some more detail coming in to the open itself. Snap, I'm interested just to see what the revenue's been like there from Snap. I don't particularly trade this stock, but I do think that'll be interesting. Coke is interesting to me as well. And yeah, maybe American Express. IBM, I'm kind of done with that share. I don't think many people are probably still trading IBM. Are you one of them? Is anyone an IBM believer out there on the turnaround? Simon says thoughts on Docusign. We'll take a look at that a little bit later, Simon, for sure. So let's go over to dollar. So dollar has been the story of, I guess, the Asian session, getting down underneath this 93.30 zone, finding some form of not even really support and breaking through. Now, I always say this with people that trade currencies, and that is, I hate trading Mondays. I specifically dislike Mondays in currency trading. Now, why is that? Currency trading is a 24-hour market, 5 and a bit days a week. It's also a market that has trillions of dollars flowing through it, and we want to see all markets open and all markets give direction. Generally, Mondays have been known heavily statistically to provide fake out signals. So I like to see the Monday close, all of the markets be open, from the Asia to the European session to, of course, the American session, and then we make a decision on more direction in Tuesday. That's when you start to see great setups, great breaks, those kind of things. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we do reverse a little bit here, as in buy up and maybe end or start the 4 hour somewhere in here and near the close. We'll have to see how the price action comes into the open, but it is a bit lower than I would have expected. I would have expected some buying pressure to come back into the dollar at around this point. It's good for gold bulls though. Anyone that's been bulling gold off that trend line we've discussed quite a lot of times in the videos has been doing all right. We've got a new close almost, not just yet, but we've almost got a new close high here on gold. And this is coming off this very strong trend line that continued to hold gold up. And we've got this trend line coming from the top. Now, any long-time viewer would know I hate trend lines usually, but these are valid. There's valid enough reasons to say that most people could see these trend lines. They are clearly being respected for multi-days, if not multi-months. And while I don't like a trend line that goes through price, and there's quite a few reasons why that is, I think this is a very fair trap here on gold. And this week, gold bulls will be hoping that we break this. Ways that you can trade it, you want to see strong price momentum. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if it finds some resistance here. But if it breaks through, it's probably going to go up to the 1930, find some resistance, come back and test. And actually, your opportunities here. Your opportunities on the conservative entry here on gold towards the movement up. So that's towards, of course, something like the 1960 or the 1970 area. We want to be trading off the bottom of that trend line. So when it becomes resistance, that's great. But when it breaks through and closes, that's a role reversal chance of dynamic support. And that's the type of area we want to be in. Why is it a bit better as well? We have a 20, we have a 200, and we have a 50 all behind. So that means that by the time it's done all of this kind of action, we'll probably have a 20 somewhere around here, and we'll have our 50 at least somewhere around here as well. And that'll all act as some type of dynamic support to help our bullish case scenario. We'll be above the 1920. We know that was super support. I'm keen on that level, and I'm certainly looking at it this week. Does Brother says IBM has an opportunity to reinvent themselves as a major cloud player. They're investing heavily. I agree, Does a Brother. They have been doing it. The problem is they've got so much legacy in their business. So people have obviously been saying they haven't done it for a long time. And that's because they've been technically a pretty bad investment for a long time. Well, let's look at IBM here, just in terms of the charts overall. We'll bring up an IBM chart. Always interesting to have a quick look at IBM's share price overall and what it's done over the long time. So IBM has been pretty stagnant for quite a long time now. It's done some pretty wild trading. Back in 16, definitely got hurt. Of course, it got hurt in 18 again, and now it's just kind of sitting around this zone. But overall, this particular business, while it does have support and trading opportunity, I think it's really hard pressed to be saying full recovery on this one. Ese de Hombre, I like that name. I probably butchered it. Gold already up nearly 1% and silver too. So let's see. Yeah, silver is moving as well. So remember, if you trade silver over gold, silver has, oh, there's a nice move there just going on in gold. Going to go touch that resistance very soon. Let's bring that actually down to a smaller chart, maybe an hour, and see how it touches that resistance. Let's see the respect of the trend line soon. So yeah, gold and silver, if you're trading silver, it's always going to be way more volatile. So silver moves will be a more extreme percentage move generally than gold. And also, if you believe there's a strong recovery coming into the economy and you want to hold a position for a longer period, generally silver will net you greater yields in the first couple of years. So we'll go back over to the chat. Hey MC, good to see you here as well. Monday is spectator day for me, says BuzzBlads. Well, you're not wrong there, Buzz. It's usually some pretty wild kind of movements each way. Siddharth. I'm not going to read that comment, but yeah. Is that actually an IPO, Siddharth? Really? Siddharth says he used to be in IBM or used to be Insider. He says it's a dinosaur company, always leads the world in meaningless patent filings. And they got a supercomputer, don't worry about that. Thanks very much for subscribing there, Ese de Hombre. Yeah, there's a few things there that definitely does hurt. Does the gold break look valid to you, says Household Dog. So the gold break close, I think it will be valid once we get a close here, which will be not that long away. I think though, again, for me, I'm pretty conservative. Like I always think of it as like this, you know, there's a lot of trading instruments, and if there's a lot of trading instruments, there's a lot of opportunity. And you don't have to necessarily get something. Like if you're investing in gold, and you're investing in it for a year approach, does it really matter whether you get 1890 or you get 1900? You're going to have to weather the storm either way. Now, if you're trading it, you have to be more calculated. You have to obviously wait for things like comes through, gets above this trend line, which is very valid, and then does something like that. Or you just take the break close. Those types of things are the way that I consider things. How long are you holding it? Do you want to be in it for a few days? All of these things are the difference between really more success and I guess failure when it comes to trading. I always think of it as this. If I am not 100% sure, I wouldn't put, let's say, $10,000 risk on that trade, even though you don't have to be putting $10,000 risk, you know what I mean, like a significant amount of money, then I would probably just say, well, I'll go find another opportunity. Now, other opportunities just in currency before we get back onto the stock market, you look at things like even the EURUSD. The EURUSD's putting pressure on a multi-month here resistance support level around this 165 kind of 70 zone. It's always a thing I'm looking at. Now, this is a currency. You may not ever look at currencies. Maybe you don't like trading currencies. The point is there's price action here, and this price action is solid. It's a very, very, very nice range that's been formulating here, and there's clearly a level where if price gets through this zone, something has happened. Something fundamentally has happened here, and there's a lot of what I call blue sky or green sky above in terms of profit, maybe up to the 1.68 kind of handle or even a little bit higher based on this range. So that's the way I kind of think about it. It's even like this one here. I was talking about XLY on the weekend. This is the sector here for consumer discretionary. Now we're coming into what's technically the best section of the year for consumer discretionary. The question is stimulus. Do we get stimulus? Do you want to bet on whether we get stimulus before the election, after the election? The election's disputed, no stimulus comes through. These things could be all very detrimental to this. So we're hitting the 20 exponential moving average right now. We know that's been support quite a few times, But what happens? I mean, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 times touch through this move here on this sector. But what happens all of a sudden if we get through that 20? Well, we probably at least go to the 50. There could be some small intraday trading opportunities there. And obviously, if the stimulus doesn't come through, it gets even worse. It gets even worse. That's not what we want to be seeing. Paul Horseman says, good morning. How about ZM? Yeah, we can check out ZM. So we've got Docusign and ZM on the list of things to look at today. I'll just write these ones down. So ZM and we've got Docusign. Feel free as well if you're in the community and you've got a big stock that you think would be worthwhile having a look at. We're happy to check that out. Let's go over to the quick US 500 and talk about that as well coming into the pre-market. US 500, obviously body closes here on the futures contract. We're wanting to see above the 3,500. That's always going to be a pretty key level. If we load the SPX here, again, 3,500. Remember, use SPX for your closes whenever possible. Real market, real volume. Fake market being futures. Fake market is where people lose money. You can trade them and you can get opportunities there, but look at your analysis using the real market. Never trust the fake market. Always a top tip. What do I think about Netflix, says JDM Loco. So Netflix, I think, is a great company. Obviously, a huge amount of market share, not going anywhere, good cash flow, all those types of things. I think they're going to have a bit of problems potentially with getting out content, new content. So they might have like a 6-month lag or something like that, but that's the industry. So the question is, will someone go somewhere else? Will they cancel their subscription, or will it just keep on churning and people just go back and watch reruns? Kevin would like to look at DKNG, which I guess is Dunkin' Donuts, I think. Amazon dumped hard on Friday. So Amazon was that buy the rumor, sell the fact, wasn't it? In terms of we went into Prime Day, and I think actually Amazon's going to do better than expected. How many people out there bought stuff on Prime Day, or whatever the hell that day was, 14th and 15th of October or whatever? Now, I didn't buy anything. I did not get a good opportunity to buy anything, and I've usually bought stuff. Last year, I was buying a lot of stuff on Prime Day. I'd actually like to know whether people were buying there, because here's the thing. I think Amazon have realized that they can make some money. So a lot of specials may not have been there, but Amazon's obviously crept their prices up a little bit more, and maybe they're still doing good turnover, but at more profit. Brian says nothing. So these are obviously discretionary plays here. So Amazon got dumped hard off that discretionary play, but you will bet long term on, of course, Amazon. There's no doubt there. This was actually a decent little opportunity back into that 3,200 sup we talked about. Went a little bit lower, hit a 50 and came up. That wouldn't have mattered though. Really, the 3,200 sup would have been the buy zone there. We do have always this 29.30 strange random support zone on Amazon. But do remember now, what happens if consumer discretionary gets slaughtered? What happens if Amazon goes against because of stimulus and we see it come all the way back down, break and close below this level? That would signal some serious selling here on Amazon. So it's always worthwhile. I call them landmines. I just set alerts randomly and I just leave them there for multi-months. So I might have a 29.50 or something for Amazon and I might forget about it. And it allows me to come back, check it out, and then get involved. Household dog, Amazon is too expensive in Oz. I agree with you. It is pretty expensive. We don't get the sweet deals. AG, Tesla is up this morning. Obviously a bit happy about that. Jody Breeze says Pelosi said set a Tuesday deadline on stimulus before election. Wednesday will be interesting. People are too lazy to cancel subscriptions, says Tim. I think that the subscriptions are one thing, Tim, but it's overall you have to spend, yeah? Yeah, this stimulus deadline is really key. I don't know. I mean, I thought originally they'd get something done, but is it in either party's best interest to push and actually get something done, or get some kind of like half pot affected stimulus? Like, it looked like the stimulus wasn't going to be that large, and it was going to be like some 600, was it 600 bill or something, instead of the trillions that they need? If that's what it is, it's just not going to be enough. All right, so let's have a quick look at the week ahead as well, just in terms of economic news. If you don't have one, forexfactory.com, always worthwhile loading up forexfactory.com, checking out the economic calendar. Obviously, also Market Watch is a good one, or any of the decent feeds out there if you get any of those. I don't think there's too much other than the stimulus thing really in terms of this week. If we go over here to the Monday, we've got GDP, which came out. That was a decent stat. We've obviously got Fed Chair Powell doing his little speech. Is this the correct number I've got here? 11 p.m. Did he just come out? Oh, 10:49. Wait a second, what is this? You refresh this timer here. I was going to say, I didn't see. Let me load that up again here. There we go. So, yeah, so Fed Chair Powell speaks. He just did that, and I'm not even sure if he actually even moved the markets. And then, of course, we've got monetary policy meetings in the odd, and nothing else really too much. I don't think Governor Bailey is going to be a thing if you trade the pound and Brexit type of stuff. But other than that, overall, I think we've probably seen a decent amount of the moves. Probably explains a little bit around the dollar as well. Oh, DKNG is DraftKings. Okay. Well, we all know about DraftKings. Very, very popular stock. If anyone actually looked at DraftKings recently, you would know that it went super hyperbolic, and that's why it's getting punished right now. This stock is not worth this much money, but it is on heavy support here. There should be buying pressure here for DraftKings. So we had the resistance here at the 44s. There still should be a decent amount of latent, patent, like kind of demand for this stock. And because there is demand, we go over to things like a weekly, have a look at how the body closes happened. I think it could go down to 40 psychological, hit the 20, saw a bounce off the 20 before. I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce again. This is a big sell-off though, and it's decently aggressive. It usually means that when you get the pullback, it won't just go straight up to the top. What it will do is it'll do some kind of pullback where it goes to a fib level. So wherever it starts pulling back, I would usually take a fib. And what do I say a lot of the times? It's always going to be a fib pullback, usually to a 61.8 to a 78.6 kind of fib, and it may not reach the high. So somewhere in this zone, usually it would turn. Just draw to the fib to wherever it pulls back, and that's usually the way I look at it. I look at it as a pullback, but overall, way too overextended here on the market, followed by basically a blow-off. I would consider this a partial blow-off for this particular stock. I have been watching this one for quite a while. I've also been watching GameStop, sorry. Now this stock is doomed long term. But it's very, very interesting to see these moves. So we're back up to this $13, previous kind of support zone before it really crashed and capitulated. This stock here is stupid. Like, they signed a deal with Microsoft, and if you actually look at the deal, it's like they have to sell codes to get people to sign up to Microsoft Live, and they get a percentage share of it. They're going to sell their European potential base and all these things, but I don't think it justifies these kind of moves. We've got Chewy backing it, that type of stuff. Long term, this company is not looking good on the cash flow or on anything. So it might be a short sugar rush, but overall, this trend could continue. And we are at that point where, while it went nuts, double selling here off the top. So worthwhile looking and having a look at the smaller time frames and seeing how that one checks it out. BTC breaking out. Looks like everything versus the dollar is breaking out. We'll load up Bitcoin as well. Usually good pre-session before we get into the stocks to have a look at all of these other markets. Things like Bitcoin, gold, silver. Gold now at a 1915.8 handle. So decent moves there. Yeah, I believe he is, Tim. Yeah, quite a few people have bet on GameStop. I'm actually really surprised that people are bothering with that one. Every single one of these manufacturers, being Microsoft, Nintendo, and PlayStation, it's in their best interests to not have a GameStop. And I always say when you have a developer of something or a company which makes the products, their best interest is to make it, people purchase it directly from them. It usually works. So Bitcoin having a nice little pickup here. Overall, Bitcoin's been incredibly good from a technical standpoint. Had some really, really nice trades off this one. I've been specifically very, very happy with the way it's been holding versus the US dollar through this whole thing. This is getting to breakout territory again. And we do expect, or at least I expect overall, that Bitcoin's going to aim for that 12,000 barrier. I've said that for a while now. I said that when I had this thing trapped in between here. Very nice breakouts. Good consolidation here. If the dollar continues to weaken, we get a body close. The way I'd be looking at this, I'd probably go, because it's a little bit spiky due to the weekend trade, I'd be looking at daily close here. I'd want to see daily close above the wicks. Okay, above the wicks. Little pullback on the smaller time frame, and then take it long. Probably look for, usually when I get the pullback, what do I look for? A 20 exponential moving average. So if we get a 20 exponential moving average coming in at the same point, that's the beautiful zone. So with something like the 1 hour there, might have like a 20 coming up when it pulls back. This is also a super bullish sign. Close high above a shooting star. Oh yeah. The retail trap candle. Everyone learns about the shooting star. Was that probably, tell me community, I want to know, trading community, did you learn, or was one of your favorite techniques, one of your first favorite trading techniques, trading shooting star, pin bars, whatever you want to call them, candles? I swear that the market has literally changed to make more pin bars and more of these fake signals over the last 12 months. Kevin, welcome to the trading community. Thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate that. Hopefully you enjoy some of your emotes. I am still working on getting some better custom ones for everyone that's joining the trading community. So welcome to the TC crew, Kevin. Thank you very much. Buzz says yes. Yeah, very, very. Gareth, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Bitcoin will go the way of gold once banks make ETF out of it, says Takula. Or Takula? Takula. Siddharth says, I learned this one from you. Well, I like the reversal of it now. I'm actually thinking the reverse fakey, or whatever you want to call it. That's the one I'm going with. Body closes above these kind of candles. Super good. Raul says, follow through with any candle plus trading structure is the way to go. The only way to go. Frog says, I'm 14 and want to start stock trading. Got any advice? That's the same age I started, Frog. Well, firstly, you're probably not able to actually open an account. But overall, look, man, I think the thing is, if you're looking at getting into it, learn the power of compounding. Learn the power of doing it a little bit slow initially, putting aside maybe a portion of your savings and those kind of things, and buy quality. Because you got a lot of time to do some serious, amazing stuff. But I think, look, reading books, following charts, following this channel, anything like that's always good. But overall, quality. And if you want to trade, I haven't really mentioned this too much on the channel, but if you want to trade, generally speaking, unless you're really, really knowledgeable in heaps of different things, I would suggest that you pick 4 to 5 either currencies or 4 to 5 stocks or 4 to 5 whatever indices, and that you specifically learn how they trade if you're going to day trade or scalp them. You must become kind of, completely at one with that particular thing, and generally want to pick high volume traded kind of stocks. Things like Apple in the US actually is a pretty good trade. In Australia, FMG has always been a pretty good opportunity. Now, Kevin, you had one. So we've got two stocks here that people want to look at. One of them is Docusign, a vertical company that has done pretty crazy in terms of vertical stock price. Now, this had come down a little bit, hadn't it? Yes. So it's come down. It's completely now broken past that 228. We mentioned this. We've talked about it for a few weeks. We're seeing a bit of a pullback now. What I'd be looking for is I'd actually be looking at this 228, 229 for long opportunities. And I'd like to see the daily 20 hitting at the same point. I'd go down to the 4 hour as well, have a look at price action. So, okay, well, here's something. The 20 has been touched probably only one time, three times and found support. So we would want it to hold here if it came back down. Maybe wick through to 229, hit those bodies, hit that low again, and then bounce off. That was actually a pretty good buy zone. You can see why. Previous resistance, 20 moving average, not a bad little intraday trade. If you get that kind of opportunity ever, this is always a great roll reversal level. Previous resistance body closes. If we go over here to the left-hand side, look at that. It's always a good one. Multiple key, you know this zone cares. You see the 20 being hit twice. I always say this, if you've got two touches and it supported it, the third time is quite likely to be successful as well. So there's our 1, there's our 2. I like that level. Overall though, with Docusign, we want it to hold this level, not get under that ideally. And then of course, if it breaks through to new high, I don't know if it goes all the way to 280, but it certainly goes 260. You would think it just goes, this thing likes, I think it likes like 200s, 20s, 10s. That's the type of trading I'd be looking at this. Just every 10, take it 20, 30 cents before those levels. Frog says, if there was one thing different you could do when you were my age, what would it be? Learn the power of compounding. Look, I think, yeah, probably I wouldn't trade crap. For lack of a better word. I wouldn't try to make $1 bazillion straight away. I wouldn't try to do what everyone else does. I would probably be a lot more aggressive, but I'd be smart aggressive. So the way I always think of things is when I've gotten a little bit older and traded for a longer period of time, you know, some people go, I trade penny stocks, and they put all their money into one penny stock and then hope it goes well. Another thing that you can always consider doing though is get a quality stock and then take a small amount of leverage. Now, not a huge amount, but a small amount of leverage on it. Now, you obviously have to make your own decisions in the future, but I always think the small amount of leverage on the quality stock is still less risk than the crazy penny stock. Now I'm just ranting, but anyway. Siddharth says, go through his older videos if you want to learn proper TA. Yeah, look, I go through, I make usually pretty consistent kind of videos. I think there's a few things though that I can improve on for the community. There's actually a few things I want to bring into charts that I actually thought about the other day, and I thought, yes, I'm going to bring these ones into the videos. So you're always achieving better. You know, I've done this now for a long time. I've been trading since the GFC pretty hard, and you're always learning new things. I've gone through most of the different industries and instruments. Another thing, I would never trade soft commodities. I think it's the roll contracts are insane on soft commodities. You get destroyed. That's never good. Household Dog says fundamentals on Bitcoin and narcotics and ransom demands. No, there's a bit more than that on them. A bit more than that. Yeah, so I quite like this Docusign at those levels. Not really something I think it's like, wow, but that 230 was a great example of a key level, 20, all the type of stuff you want to see. Check out Zoom. So Zoom is a vertical fest of a stock. I think things will end very poorly for this stock, but you know, I've said that before and things have gone even more vertical. This is euphoric for sure. I think that very, very tough to hold this. If you're long, congratulations. If you're long with the plan, even more congratulations. We're starting to get incredibly far away here from the 20. We're basically ridiculously vertical, actually. Wow. 572. That is so far away. You know, there's always a good saying that you can put in is if you get like a certain percentage away from a 20 exponential moving average on a weekly, you will crash. And when it crashes, it's brutal. It's always a blow off. And I think we're getting to that event. This is very, very far away from that weekly 20. Now, we know that, of course, what's a weekly 20? It's based on 20 periods. Overall, that's 20 weeks here. This one is the exponential, so it's more weighted towards the last couple of moves, but that is very far away. So I'm a bit terrified of price here. It's not for me, but that doesn't mean that there isn't opportunity on breakouts. Look at this nice little breakout last week. Close above, comes back and retests the bodies. Beautiful trade there. Trade, not investment, but trade. And that's right around that 500. We get the break close. You can see how the close is the key. The wicks don't matter. Who cares about the wicks? Get the wick here, get the wick here, get the wick here. It's like WikiLeaks. We don't want that. So over here, we get the body close. It shows the commitment of the buyers. It comes back down and it tests those bodies from the support zone and bangs off in. That's really, really good. I like that. All right, let's go around the markets. Let's bring up the Webull pre-market scanner. Now here we've gone from 20 billion to the biggest it can be, which is the Apple. I heard the Alrighty Then announcement. Now, did someone join the community and I missed them? Sorry if I did. Oh, Gareth. Good to see you, Gareth. I know you. Welcome to the TC crew, Gareth. Thank you very much for joining, mate. Appreciate it. So with the pre-markets, let's have a look at the negatives coming into the market here. A whole bunch of stuff that most people... Look, it's Kellogg's. Overall, not too much pre-market down action. If we go to the pre-market up action, however, Credit Suisse, 5.48%. We've got Microchip Tech up 3.6%. Zoom up another 2.24%. And then we've got GE up. GE's up. That's illegal. It's been doing all right recently, yeah? This stock. This stock. GE. That's the story of nightmares, that one. If you held that for 30 years. The story of a nightmare. Probably. It's like IBM. It's kind of terrifies me from the perspective of could they ever really turn it around? Maybe like a GameStop to me. Nokia, another company from the past. Snap up 1.8. So that's got the announcement and that's moved up a little bit. You can see on the price action here, there has been a little bit of a movement down as well on that. So we'll come back over to the Webull checks. Good to see that Activision's doing all right over here. Though that company has a lot to answer for. They have not been doing that well. What about in the futures trades? Let's have a look at the futures before we go back to some questions from the community. Buzz says, it's far better to buy a wonderful company. Buzz is quoting some Buffett here, but it's a very decent Buffett quote. So it's far better to buy, I think he says, I don't think he says wonderful though, Buzz, does he? I think he says like great or amazing or something like that. I can't remember. But he basically says wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Maybe that is his direct quote there from Buzz. It's a good quote and it is true. When is the crash going to happen? Arc Omen 1 says. So Arc, it always happens when we least expect it, but it also happens when there's way too much options, futures calls open. So if you've got a lot of call opens, that's really important. I saw an interesting article the other day on obviously how many people are searching, how many people are trading options in the US. Now you wouldn't know this, but the options market in Australia has actually shrunk and got smaller through this crisis. Most of our banks and financial institutions have completely dumped options. You can barely trade them anymore. But in the US, Robinhood, everything else, there are options everywhere. And most people don't even know they're taking 10-to-1 leverage or whatever size leverage they're taking on the options. So I think the more call options that are opened, the more likelihood that you get a corrective slump. Also, if we fail to get stimulus this week, I think the market will not like that. Specifically, that sector we were talking about before, being the consumer discretionary. I've actually got some sectors up here. Let me just bring them up for you all. Let's have a look at this sector rotation recently. So I've got this one up here. Love to go through this. So we've got here all of our sectors. So we've got consumer discretionary was coming in hot. It always has this seasonal kind of event. We always get that nice bullish buying into the end of the year generally. But overall, it has now started to decline. We've also got XLK tech, obviously a little bit of decline. Industrials was certainly a sector I was very keen on. It's probably more betting on the idea of a Democratic win as well. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's just economic recovery overall. I'm not actually sure in America whether the Democrats really do spend more than the Republicans. I don't want to get too political about it, but overall, we are seeing industrials move. Obviously, utilities doing pretty well and materials doing pretty well. If we actually go to a 1 year chart here, notice that almost all of the sectors are actually positive for the year. What is it? No surprise being where the market is, but look at how crazy the discrepancy between the energy sector is and tech sector. That's bizarre. It's also really bizarre when you think about year to date and you go, okay, well, we've got the financial sector and the energy sector getting destroyed, and almost every other sector in the market is doing pretty okay. It's just two sectors weighing down heavily and one sector super overperforming. And then, of course, the stimulus and just consumer discretionary just going wild. You wouldn't think it would, but it certainly has. People have been spending, which is good news, I guess, for the economy overall. So on the movements today, we've got a whole bunch of silver, again, outperforming gold, which is, again, no surprise. Silver will move faster than gold in these bullish times. And overall, other than that, bit of currency moves. Natural gas, the big loser, that's been consistently losing. Bonds obviously down a little bit there as well. And markets moving in about 0.7 to 1%. We're at 11:48. We're looking at 42 minutes to the open right now. So not too long to go. I'm looking forward to trapping this market into the open as well. We'll take some more requests of big stock coming from the community. I'd like to see that. And we will talk about some other points as well. Just saw this announcement as well on MarketWatch. It was just a flip top. Speculators flip positive on Nasdaq futures in near record purchases. So that's interesting to see, near record of purchases. Did you also know the 33rd anniversary of Black Monday stock market meltdown is upon us? There you go. Did not know that. But I did see it before when I was just having a quick look at the general news. MarketWatch is a good little website if you haven't been using it. It just gives you a little bit of most popular. I'm sure it's biased in some way, but I'm always looking for free resources for the community. I can't use too much of the paid ones because I guess you'd get, potentially in trouble using them, but it's always a good free one. CBOE, put call ratios are here. Obviously, stockcharts.com if you want to put moving averages on and use your put call ratios and have it more as a kind of moving chart. You can set that up a little bit better. I'll be working on this tomorrow as well to get even better chart, hopefully, for the videos. And we are getting that little bit of a dollar pickup that we expected at the start. So we are finding some buying pressure at around this level. That's a very steep, fakey looking decline that we saw there. Let's go over to gold because we had that trapped. What is going on with gold? So gold's rejecting a little bit here. Decent little rejection there. Didn't get the body close out above. We'll continue to watch this one throughout the stream. Very important that we see gold do it. Now, what happens though? Let's say this closed as a shooting star and closed down here. If we then saw bullish gold again and it broke and closed through above this high statistical chance it gets through this trend line to the buy side. So don't be too bearish on the fact that it's doing one of these. Steve Bump says MarketWatch has recently started changing a lot of its stories. I hate that. So thanks for letting me know, Steve. Man, the media and just general, it's bad. I'm not big to get really blatantly crazy about that type of stuff, but I was reading so much papers and stuff recently, and I don't trade off that stuff. Hey, I don't even pay too much attention to it. That's why I barely talk about it, because it's pointless. It clouds your price action judgment. However, wow, there is some, I think like people like Murdoch in Australia, they need to be kind of stopped. They own like 74% or something of all the media. That's not good. Takula says, please use full screen only. It should only be full screen. Oh, I think you're talking about the chart sectors. Yeah, we'll bring that on. Thanks very much for all the subscriptions tonight. Really appreciate that. Awesome to see the community here in such force. These Monday streams, I'll keep doing them if everyone keeps liking them. I really enjoy doing these, and I want to make them even better all the time. Thoughts on AMD? We'll definitely check that out. Let's have a look at AMD. So I can give you a whole soliloquy about how I like AMD and what they're doing right now. AMD is going to move though. Please be warned. There is price action obviously here. It's sitting on a 20. It's looking like it could go a little bit bullish, but remember, when it comes to AMD, they have big announcements, and they have, I think it's like Big Navi and their processor and their graphics card are coming out very soon. If they're good and they can compete with NVIDIA and they can compete with Intel, I'm pretty sure the processor is going to wipe. They're going to wipe Intel out in terms of performance. That will shoot this stock up. So that will make this stock do better. Kevin Adelio coming in. Get some of that coffee, Tom. Oh, I'll be taking a coffee break probably around 12 o'clock. I encourage everyone else to get a refreshment at that time as well. But I will certainly be going and doing that, man. Thank you very much for the $4. Appreciate it. So AMD is pretty strong here on this support. We are seeing a 0.71 move into the pre-market. So not too bad. Not too bad. If you're looking at technical kind of buy opportunities, I mean, it is on support, isn't it? Support was down here. It's going to be opening at 83.87. So there was support at around that kind of 82.40. That's a random level. Usually it'd be 82. But notice how even over here, see how it stops at 82.06. If you're making this mistake, stop doing this. So it's difficult to buy here, but if let's say you had a pending limit and you said, I want to buy 82. Well, don't put 82. That's what noobs do. That's what beginners do. The reason why that is because when you're looking at your volume lines in the market, where does everyone have it? There's a huge amount of liquidity and volume always sitting at the level. It's always at like 82, 82.50, 83, all the round 50 cent and $1 numbers. So always put your order a little bit higher and you're more chance of getting filled. You know, a good case of this, 2 weeks ago, I was buying a stock in Australia. I bought it at, what was that? It was about $20 and like 1 cent or something. And why did I buy it there? I was looking at the volume lines and there was like 300,000 units at $20 and 2,000 units at the 1 cent above. Was I going to get filled? No, you never got filled at 20. You would have never got filled. It bounced too hard and you miss out. It's another thing on penny stocks people forget. Just because you see the price doesn't mean you get in. So I always say get a little bit higher, but not by much, but a little bit higher, and you'll get more chance of getting filled. Because sometimes if you're not market filling and you're pending filling, that's what's up. So AMD overall, looks good on the support right now. Go to the weekly. We're still pretty far away. Price action's not looking great on the weekly. But again, it all comes down to those results. We get above this 88.80 and we close above this. Everyone will know what I think about that from the weekly. Back to the high. Back to the high. Very bullish if it got above here. Good intraday trading opportunities above a weekly close. Off, of course, a shooting star or pin bar reversal. But if we do continue to see weakness and we break to a new low here, well, that'll be a wet rejection with another little bit of a rejection with, of course, a new open low. So for AMD, it needs to perform around here. We need to see buying pressure come back into this stock. Paul Pham says, Tom, thoughts on the ASX? I guess we can do that. Now, I know a lot of people aren't interested in the Australian market. There's always something to be learnt, yeah? So Australian market is bullish right now. Very bullish. Why is it bullish? Money from the government. If you actually look at this, and good thing to do is do a quick comparison. So I'll leave this ASX 200 up, and what I'll do is I'll compare it to BetaShares EX20, okay? So this is the top 200 stocks, and then this is comparison to the EX20. So this red line is the comparison EX20. Now what you'll notice is that EX20 is everything but the top 20 stocks. In Australia, we have a very crappy market. It's not very deep. Once you go past the top 20, it's very small companies, considering market cap size. When the government made stimulus and in the budget, they basically gave all the small middle cap companies lots of money and said, here, tax credits, tax write-offs, tax all of this. It's a benefit for these smaller companies. So if you actually do a comparison between the EX20 and the ASX 20, you'll notice that there's a bigger pickup in the back end of the market. And this could be good long-term for Australia. It's been too long for the big banks and the big kind of BHP, Rio and FMG trades and Woolworths and Wes. This is a nice close here. Probably see a retracement back down, test the bodies, and then hopefully bounce up. But this is very significant weekly close. First body above all the wicks. 6,200 was the key. Got a little bit higher today. I wouldn't be surprised to see some weakness followed by a little bit of strength. It is looking bullish though. Back over to the dollar. We'll just quickly check around these markets. Dollar still finding a little bit of buying pressure. Gold obviously looking at that nasty looking rejection here after that initial pre-market breakout. Remember, Mondays suck from a commodities, currencies trading kind of perspective. Even in the stock markets, they're not as good as you think. Of course, always come to the stream, but they're not necessarily as good as you think. They're more a good preparation time. Amazon still picking up pretty decently. We've got a 0.45 here on the open. That was a big sell-off though on Friday. Let's have a look at Tesla as well. See what's going on there. And then we'll load up some of these indices and start taking a look at the American indices. Tesla up a 1.35 handle. Let's go to the chat. Got quite a lot of people coming in. Paul said thoughts of the ASX, done that. Johnny Bravo says rather be here than other morning streams. Thanks very much, Johnny. Always appreciate community feedback as well. If you've got any feedback, feel free to send feedback to support@fxevolution.com and we will read that feedback and hopefully bring it into the community streams. Always good. Anyone see Bill Zarian's company? Oh man. What is it? It's like Blitz or something, isn't it? Is it Blitz? Dan Bilzerian's company. Ignite. That's the one. Bills. There we go. Let's put that one in. Just have a look at how things can go wrong. You've got to go and have a look on YouTube and maybe read a little bit about the cash flow on this company. Wow. What a milker. This guy, seriously, he's pretty crazy. Spends all of the money. The cash flow's gone. It's like an almost self-fulfilling prophecy of these types of things, but this is a terrible story if you're invested in this one. I would not be surprised to see bankruptcy on this one pretty soon. Johnny Bravo, every time you're in this stream, people think you're Jay Bravo. Every single time, man. That's so funny. Ignite. Ignite your money on fire. Burn it. Ron Tan says, Tom, what's the price to take profit for Kogan, KGN? So Kogan is an Australian company. Ruslan Kogan, I know that guy. Well, I did anyway, years ago. Met him a few times. And overall, it is a spastic stock, as in another stock that has done incredibly well. Wow, 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 if you were Kogan. This stock's vertical and probably can't hold it, but overall, it has moved very, very, very strongly. I think overall, it's probably just hit around that level that you would think. If it's going to continue going vertical, though, where did it stop before? So before, when it was on a big run back in 18, it stopped at a psychological number 10. Now, I know that when Kogan has started running, it's generally been traded pretty heavily by retailers. What does that tell us? It always tells us that usually with the retail herd, it stops at around those kind of round numbers. Now, before, when it was moving up, it stopped before 20. It actually stopped about 1857. So if we are going to get through the 25, because it just hit 25, 25 is key resistance here because it's a psychological number. We get above 25, wouldn't be surprised at all if it starts targeting towards the 30 before doing its correction phase. This stock will have to correct though. I've looked at the fundamentals on this stock. I'm not sure. It will have to correct. So I think all I could say to you right now is we're far away from the 20. We're hitting psychologicals, and think about the people that are trading it. Always worthwhile. That's a vertical graph right there. AMC, Entertainment Holdings. Wow, that's a sad story, isn't it? That's the COVID special, this one. Yeah, this is going to be really tough for it to come back. Obviously, entertainment company. Overall, I would never be looking at buying a stock down here, which has got so many problems. It's like a penny stock at this point. There's a reason it's so low. It's kind of like Carnival or any of those things. If you're going to trade those types of things, I always look more for the price action to return, and then I look for this breakout phase. Why do I do this? Because this breakout phase, when it breaks out, closes, comes and retests, gives us usually a good gap fill opportunity, like up here to the 12. That's the way I'd be looking at it. I usually don't like buying down here. I just find that sometimes my money's stuck for ages. So you can be sitting in it. I've sat in some crappy stocks over the years for years waiting for the turnaround. And what I found in researching on that was look for the price action to break the first key resistance, and that's when the money flow starts coming back in. If we have a look at Intel overall, and we think about what's happened recently on Intel, it's been a classic case of that. We had that little bit of a breakout, close above, and then we've had two nice opportunities here to pick up this 52.84. We've got a nice gap fill opportunity up here to the 56, 57 range as well. There's no reason why, if we get a decent earnings report, you won't see Intel do the little kind of move up, find this previous support as resistance, and then probably sell off after the earnings. But the price action here was key. Intel could have sat for a long time. Like even here, you had your money tied up. Yes, it's been okay in the recovery percentage-wise, but it hasn't been that great. It could have sat here like this for ages and then started moving up, then closed above, and that is the key point you want to buy it. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Should help out though, for sure. Baba is an absolute monster. So that's the Alibaba. Alibaba, the stock that can't be stopped. We're hitting the 310 here. 309.55 pre-market. Obviously another resistance break. Now, how's it traded off resistance breaks before? So we had a resistance here. Did this little kind of coil up here. Closed through. Little bit of trade up and down as it closed through. And then went higher to the next zone. So that was off the 300 break. Then it sold off, and now we're back at that 310. I always like to see the way that the market... So I guess the chances are is it'll come back to the price. It's like not if a break close happens, it's traditionally come back, hasn't it, throughout this move. Even over here, it had a go at coming back. And that was a pretty significant breakout too. That was off earnings. So for this stock... hits the 20, it's been finding a decent amount of buy support, but I wouldn't be too surprised if there's decent intraday trade here where we get above and then we see a little bit of strength, a little bit of weakness, comes back down, tests the 310 from, of course, above, and then we see that next move to the 320. Seems to like moving $10 blocks, and it does care about those levels. Again, probably traded by a decent amount of retail traders. Jeremy says he got burned on AMC. Yeah. Trying to pick the bottom on those stocks, really tough, Jeremy. It's like energy stocks. Really tough. Dr. Copper. I heard a mention of Dr. Copper flirting with resistance. Yeah, Dr. Copper's looking good. That's good for the market if you're a bull. Remember, we do use this statistic. Now, I always want to tell everybody this. Copper's cool and copper's great, but we don't want to be using copper after kind of the first 2 years. Why is that? After the first 2 years of a crisis, it doesn't give you good signals. But it's a beautiful thing, and it'll be a beautiful thing again, and it will be a beautiful thing again in the future. Whenever we go into crises, I would always be looking at copper as a first kind of sense of what's going on. And then, of course, during the recovery, look at price action. And we're in the recovery theoretically right now due to the stimulus. So decent now in a price action here on Dr. Copper. 4 hour is showing some decent bullish strength here as well. Body close slightly higher, but not that significant. Overall, though, we don't usually trade copper. We're just kind of floating it up and using that as sentiment. Let's load up the US 500 again. We'll do a quick comparison. I think I boosted this today. There we go. We'll load up the US 100 next to it. We'll start to trap these in a little bit. Get rid of this MACD indicator. We don't need that anymore. Go down to 15 minutes. By the way, I've got quite a big stream today for a Monday, which is an update. So thank you very much for everyone that's here. If you haven't subscribed, definitely consider doing so. We're doing this every single Monday, and obviously we make videos all the time talking about the S&P, talking about stocks and everything. Always interested to hear people's ideas on the format for those videos as well, whether you like us to go through some of the indicators for stocks, get updates on those. Gold, silver inclusions potentially in most videos. Could look at doing that as well. So we'll just have a quick think about what we're doing in terms of traps today. Now, if I was having a look, would I do that? Not really. Don't think I'd probably draw in that kind of market. US 500, what I'd do is I'd probably load the SPX 15, see how that looks, because the SPX was the real market. And then I'd figure out my support resistances based on that. So there could be a little bit up here at the 34.94. We'd have a 20 on the real market as well around there. So for me, I'd probably have that drawn as a level of resistance for an intraday trade if it was to get up that high. We're at 34.83 pre-market now. Oh, sorry, that's not pre-market. What am I talking about? That was close. 34.94. Makes sense. Makes sense that we're there. Look at that. You go SPX, 34.94. Previous support, resistance 20. US 500 futures, where are they? 34.94. Notice the charts look pretty different. And that's because the SPX is the good chart. This is the crap fake chart. But we use it because it's trading right now. So that's what often does happen. It comes in, the market will come in at a key SPX support resistance. Kevin wants the live trade management videos back. Yeah, we can bring them back. They didn't do that well, though. A bit of a pain in the ass to make, and they didn't do that well. Philip Morris International doing a alert. They're doing a bit of a earnings season tomorrow. I don't have them on the earnings calendar here, but yes. Actually, I'll post this link if anyone wants it. This is just the big companies. Obviously, you can get other ones. There you go. If anyone wants that one. Matthew says, boring day today. Well, it depends what you're thinking about, Matthew. It might be boring in terms of some moves, but it doesn't mean you can't set up some of your alerts for the week ahead. You can set up some of your traps, like this one on gold. You can set up some of your alerts on Amazon, things that you're looking at. Obviously, do your pre-kind of market concepts and thoughts. Hopefully, everybody did see that SPX versus the US 500. Really, really key kind of level. I'm actually going to go back over to the SPX again. So we had the 34.94. This is the 15-minute chart here. Let's go to the 4 hour quickly. So we can see how the 4 hour 20, that's a drawing I put up actually with the fib pullback. I said that was pretty likely to occur. I put that in the comment section for subscribers last week. Did certainly happen. Went a little bit lower. I thought it would stop around this 34.50 kind of area. So body close, any kind of close body above the previous high at 35.15 will probably trigger a lot of buys. Algorithms will come in there as well, just because we had a wick rejection there. It's the last swing. That'll probably trigger the 35.50. Just thinking out loud here, the kind of thought process that I'm thinking about. I think about it from a technical price action, and then also the way that the algorithms will probably get involved in that type of trade, whether it's in the direction of trend, what kind of confirmations I'd be looking for, that type of thing. So they're probably the 3 lines I'd have up there. I think that's probably the best ones that I'd be looking at. A few other questions coming in here. Sebastian says gold setting up for a buy. Could be, Sebastian. Could be a good one too. Siddharth said I learn about futures from the past. Yep, absolutely. Futures are dangerous, Siddharth. Your advice on RXT. I'll write it down. Obviously not advice. Technical opinion. Potential opinion, yeah? Michael Harrison says, bond, dollar, debt, macros suggest a market fall, stimulus just delaying it. Yeah, there's a lot of negativity out there, obviously, Michael. I agree with you on so many negative things that you can talk about the market, but it pays to be an optimist. Druckenmiller always says that. He's very rarely bearish. And I know when you quote, popular investors, like whatever, they probably all lie to us anyway. But sometimes they've got some truths in there. And Druckenmiller says it pays to be an optimist, and it's paid to be an optimist throughout his career. And he did make 20% per year on average for a long time. What about Ripple, says Jose Rodriguez? Yeah, Ripple is fine. Not something I look at too much. Do I think the gap will be filled? Which gap are you talking about there? Do you know? Yeah, Jody, I did do DraftKings. Look, I think it's overpriced, but that being said, the level that it hit is obviously support. So 48 last week, now for long-term hold. I don't think necessarily long-term hold, Jody. I think it could get back faster than you think there. Where do you find the sector rotation charts that you use on your top-down analysis video, the one with XLE, XLY? I will be sharing that in a video soon, Maybo. Absolutely. I will be sharing that. Otherwise, message me and I'll actually message in the Discord room and I'll see if I can get it. But I will be sharing it with the community very soon. Few Canadian gold mining stocks are readying bullishness. Well, let's have a look at gold itself. Let's look at Barrick. I will just quickly probably make a coffee because we've got 16 minutes to the open. Wow. That happened faster than I thought. Where's my Barrick? There it is. Whoa, wait a second. That's the wrong. Yeah, that's the one we want. There's the one we want. 20 moving average. It's touched a few times here on the weekly. Support, 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 support. Nice little coil it looks like on this one as well. Let's go down the daily. Some people prefer trading gold through stocks. No worries with that. This one's a nice little trap here. I don't mind that. Body close above this 28.50 zone. 29 doesn't seem to really care. See how the stock, the price action on the left-hand side shows us that 29. There's some buying support, but not really. It's always broken through pretty easily. So there's a nice little kind of channel formation here forming on Barrick. Okay. So we've got the US 500 1 hour on the right, sorry, left, and we've got the 15-minute here, US 100 on the right. I'll be right back in just a few minutes, guys. I'm just going to get a drink. I'll chuck some music on for you, and we are only 15 minutes off the open, I believe. So pretty exciting. Let's see how the markets open. Will they open on those resistances? Let's have a look in only 15. Alrighty. That took longer than expected. But I am back. Feeling good. Alright, let's have a look at these markets and what I missed. So I missed a bit of slight bullish action here on the US 100s. We're only 9 minutes away now. T-minus 9 coming in. We're checking out our Webull in just a minute. Let's have a look at this pre-market coming in. Go to the negatives first. $77, $4. Thank you very much, $1. That's for obviously a coffee. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. So we've got 2.73% down from VF. We're doing a 20 billion and up here. Coke slightly negative. Overall, though, it's not really about negativity today. It's more positivity. Credit Suisse, Microchip still up. Philips, Zoom doing well. UBS. Guess this is kind of making me think, is it worthwhile after the banks reported to potentially start looking at the price action there as well? Like, we obviously had a decent amount of pretty negative opportunities there in terms of what the banks did. Now, I wouldn't be looking at Wells Fargo, that's for sure, but the other ones, why not? Bank of America, always an interesting one. Obviously backed in hard by people like Warren Buffett. Have a quick look and see what happened there. So it came back down. It's not these kind of stocks. I mean, the one thing with the banking sector is we know that after things like a GFC, after recession, especially low interest rates, they're not going to do that well. So it's not going to be like a miraculous, glorious recovery. You might get that from, say, like a JP Morgan. I noticed they've actually just gone through and said they've got an increase in their expectations. But you will usually see... Just make sure everybody can hear me as well. Not sure if it's coming through clearly. Just let me know in the chat. That'd be good. But yeah, Bank of America came back down to decent little support, 23.50. It was lower at 23.0. There was some buying action. But I can see why it stopped here. Previously, it stopped here. It was a multi-day kind of 2-day big sell-off. I mean, we went from 25 all the way down to 23.50. That's a relatively large move. I got some questions coming in while I was away there. Can you please give advice for beginners learning path? Please name me as well. Oh, very greedy there. God. No wonder it's a difficult name there, man. Australians can't say your name. Adnan? So with it, Adnan, if you're looking at type of, getting a bit better, I mean, we obviously have a course in TA, in technical analysis. We have a private community as well. It's pretty good. But overall, I think, I obviously learnt it through some of the hard ways as well. I think following some channels is worthwhile, but remember this one lesson. If it doesn't make sense, it's not worth doing. It has to make some logical sense. When you're looking at price action, you're looking at a level, does it make some kind of mental sense? Does the level make sense? The things that you're looking at make sense? If they don't do it. The other thing is trade quality. Trade quality, always worthwhile. Only 6 minutes away now from the open. So trade quality, if it doesn't make sense, don't do it. Why do my charts look blurry? They shouldn't. Just change it from maybe a 360p to a 1080p. Is Friday evening sell-off any guide to Monday trading? Jeremy says. It's a good question, Jeremy. So generally, I haven't got the full stats. I have to pull them one day for everybody. But generally, Friday means usually risk off, that kind of thing. Last Friday was also options expiry, as in like it had already happened. So there would have been a little bit of rebalancing due to that. We did see an increase in volume. If we have a look at, where's our volume chart? 4.675 volume spike overall. So that's usually what you see around those periods. Generally, though, I would say selling in a Friday is usually negative towards a Monday, but because it was a options expiry, maybe not as important. Dollar index, slight move up here. Go to some of the stocks that we had on the charts before, and we'll load the futures. We have now only a 0.62 up now, 32.93 handle for Amazon. Was a pretty brutal sell-off there. Remember, consumer discretionary. This week is the week to watch this. If you've been watching tonight, you've been watching this Monday Open, we are all about looking at these sectors this week. Sectors. They will pay off in terms of doing your analysis on sectors. I think sector rotation is one of the best things that you can do. Obviously, I've got this little sector rotation over here. And worthwhile checking out that XLY this week, seeing how that reacts to stimulus, and always checking each one of your sectors and making sure you're very well aware of where everything's at. So buying bankrupt companies is a bad move. Well, 80 water, not this year. But generally, yes. Yeah, generally, yes. AMC, says Siddharth. I'm not sure what that's got to do with there. Am I going to follow any of the earnings calls? Probably not today, but I will be following the earnings calls in general. On this stream though, probably not looking at the earnings calls for today. I don't think there's enough there for me for today. Where do you check the sectors? You can do it in TradingView. You can just bring them up. You can also do it in any Google kind of search. Look at the different sectors. Yahoo has a good one, I believe. So we're 3 minutes away. Let's bring up our two kind of levels here on the US 500 and US 100. Now, I'll draw all the supports that we got from the SPX before. Remember, SPX should be where you generally draw your support resistances. So we had that little kind of resistance around the 34.95.94 zone on the SPX. I'm going to leave that there because I think it is important to know what the real market did. Just as a comparison again, SPX, if we look at that from a 15-minute chart, this is what we're talking about and why we're using that level. We're using the real market to define a level there for us. In terms of overall for the US 500 though, we could be seeing a little bit of a pickup here to this version of the 20, which is slightly off from the SPX one. And if we're looking for buys and more bullish intentions, I think if we get above 3,500 and make a close, even though we had this 3,505, that would be relatively significant. A 3,500 plus close today could signal further buying pressure. Notice here on the 1 hour, nobody closes above this 3501.6. So if you're going into the smaller time frames and you see buying pressure come back into the markets, it closes above. Wouldn't we think that in the intraday it would probably come back down to this level, test it from above, find support, go to the 3510 and then potentially even break high? Certainly some little scalping opportunities between this zone and this zone today if it does go bullish. 1 minute now coming into the open, so we've only got 1 minute. Countdown has started. A little bit of selling coming into the Nasdaq here as well. We certainly will be. I should probably, maybe next week if I've got time, I'll probably do some of the earnings calls. Wouldn't mind doing an earnings call live with everyone. Maybe one of the big tech stocks. Read it on the stream as well. Go through some of it. Talk about it a little bit. Generally, I find though, when you get those kind of alerts, you're just saying some random babble because the market's reacting so quickly to it. The algorithms are reading it, all of that type of stuff. So 20 seconds away from the market open here. We'll look at the pre-market into the market open from the Webull perspective in just a few moments, but let's get that bell ready. 10 seconds to go, everybody. We are ready with the bell. Let's get it ready and hopefully it doesn't blow your ears off. All right. Woo! I'm excited. Look at that little pin bar fakie. All right, that's the bell. What a bell it is. Thank you, Doctor, for providing the bell sign. Very good. Pelosi says Mnuchin has 48 hours left to get the deal passed before the election, says Imran. Yep. We know that they love going to the 11th hour, though, so unlikely to be before. Do we think... Here's a question for the chat room. Are we going to see stimulus this week? Are we going to see stimulus this week? Let me know in the comment section. Yes or no. If you want to include the day as well. Yeah, if anyone's getting poor stream quality, it shouldn't really be from my connection. Just up that quality to 1080p, should be a lot better. So with the markets open, we've got our first minute of trade. These are 15 minute on the right here and a 1 hour on the left. We were just kind of marking up that 35.01. Let's just quickly draw that one there. Where did we end up getting the open? Actually, let's go to the SPX. Where did we get that open? Did we get it right on the price or a little bit higher? Or if people don't believe that it's going to happen, we definitely think that could hit the discretionary, don't we? No money, no money. Not counting on stimulus till after election. Radian says maybe. So generally the expectation is no stimulus. Whew, that's a lot of no's. That's almost 100% no's. Well, if it is a no and we don't have anything, remember the election could be tight. If we don't have a clear winner, it might be multiple days due to postal votes. Be a lot of craziness going on. I think it'll be a crazy time. Just a quick reminder, we will be doing a US election stream special. Try to work on getting a few guests to bring on some special content for everyone as well. So check us out that day. We'll be doing about 10 to 12 hours worth of streaming. We won't be talking necessarily about politics from my opinion or anything like that. It'll be mostly talking about the financial markets. We'll be looking at commodities, currencies, stocks, futures, indices. It was wild when Trump won. That was a crazy day of switches. Very, very exciting times. So we've got here 34.95.96. So it's hit that 20 moving average here on the real market. And it's rejecting a little bit off that. Slightly higher open than we thought. We thought it was going to be about that 34.95 handle. The Nasdaq is struggling a little bit. Now we know that with these kind of fake rejection signals like this shooting star here, if it doesn't hold up and we do see a body close above this, it'll probably trigger a decent amount of buys just because of the way these candles have been working. But at this stage, overall, it looks like there's more movement to the bullish side here coming into the SPX. It's probably not going to be a super exciting Monday. I won't tell you it is because I don't think it's going to be super exciting, but we'll have a look at some stocks now. Let's go to the Webull opening, have a look at the changes coming into the market. What is winning? Credit Suisse is still winning. Zoom's doing quite well. We've got Activision doing 2%. Surprising, actually, for Activision. I can't say I'm unhappy about that one. Snap 3.3. Oh, wow. Snap's moving pretty hard, actually. Decent 3% move here on Snap. Head of the earnings port. Now, someone said Philip Morris before. So that'll be an interesting one as well. See what happens there. Let's go to the negatives for the day. Nothing too negative overall. Might be worthwhile checking out. Just reminds me of the Cisco system. So if you look at Cisco on its chart, it's been brutal. So it might be worthwhile having a look at, again, another beaten down sector. Let's come and revisit this in probably 11 minutes. We'll revisit the indices and see how they're moving. Overall, we want to see decent body buying on the SPX above 3,500. We do expect a little bit of selling at the 3,500, but overall, it's really about the 3,515 break high. We get a break close high there. It triggers up to 3,550, we feel, this week. That might not happen today, but it certainly is the type of thing we're looking at. What did Amazon open at? We got a point. What do we get here? Well, we got a 1.21% open it overall. 33.12 for Amazon. Radeon 6900 XT. Please be good. Please be good, says 80 Water. Yes, if you're an AMD fanboy and you're hoping that the new processors and graphics cards are going to be good, I hope so. Antonio says, Tom, remember this date if anything else. 28th of October, 2020. Why am I remembering that date, Antonio? Let me know in the comments. Are you saying that they're going? Is that the date that it's going to happen, you think? A40 says, I like that. No stimmy, 2 weeks minimum. Mark says, just to be the contrarian. Yes, I like that one. Gold selling off. All right, let's have a look around dollar. So what's dollar doing? Well, if dollar had moved down, we would have thought gold should have been moving up slightly there. Gold still rejecting. Wow. That is a negative. So that got the pre-market traders a little bit. Everyone was pretty bullish coming in. Still got this trap. We need to see this break now, like as in today or tomorrow, because you never want to see a trap get to the end. You never want to see it get to the end, because what would that mean for a technical perspective? If it gets over here, it's basically, and then it becomes something else. So when you're talking about technical traps, it needs to go either up here or down here over the next 24 hours. It's already too close to the trap end. You prefer it does it at about this point, really where the last third of the trap from the perspective of probably around here is there. We do not necessarily want it to continue to be stuck in this zone. That's not ideal. Rico wants me to say, let go for Barbie, mate. Let go. You reckon that's right? I'm not sure if we all say that, Rico. We say Macca's, man. We say Macca's. Go to Macca's. And it's like, put a shrimp on the Barbie, mate. That's what you do. Put a shrimp on the Barbie. Okay, so around the markets, we saw gold moving down. That obviously means silver's getting a decent amount affected as well. Let's have a look at a few other stocks. So I wanted to take a look at Bank of America. We did that one. And what was the other one? I wanted to have a look at Apple just generally. Apple was a really classic case of buy the rumor, sell the fact last week. It was a great trade opportunity. I really wish and I hope a few people got that one. So over here, we got a decent rejection on the week, actually. I didn't think their product offering was that great. I ordered a new phone, but I didn't think it was that great. Get rid of that comparison there. So Apple, where are we trading right now? 120 up 0.79. So there could be a 117 buy here. Why is that? We got a little bit of market pressure around there, but we have a daily 20 sitting around that 117. So I definitely think there's opportunity in Apple in the intraday. 117, can we get there? That's $3 down. 20 moving average, previous resistance here. Could certainly happen. Worthwhile checking out. Another stock that we haven't looked at in a while is probably Alphabet. Alphabet moving a little bit higher here. I did see this 2050 cross on the daily, testing resistance 1590. Could be one to look at the intraday trade as well on. Break, hit the 1600, come back down after hitting 1600, test the 1590 from the top above, and then move higher. Not sure I like this price really in terms of long-term investment in Google, but I do like that it's had a big move up. This was a good position. We've spoken about Google through this level here, the 1500 a few times, but the right kind of price action's happening on it right now. Dr. Horton says no one says that. Put a shrimp. Crawdads. Yeah, we call them like crayfish. We have like crayfish and what is it? It's like crayfish is a different thing. You call it like a lobster and a crayfish is like a yabby. It's bizarre. I don't get any of that stuff. This one here is Google Class C, but usually you'd be looking at the other ones. So usually you'd be looking at this one, Class A. They'll all trade pretty similarly. Activision, yeah, let's check that out. The old Activision Blizzard. So we do have an announcement here. New Shadowlands World of Warcraft's coming out. Not that I particularly care. In a trading range though, and that's why it is worthwhile bringing up. So we are getting and testing this kind of resistance trading range, 82.68. New Call of Duty as well. Gotta say, I'm not impressed by either of the offerings compared to last year, but that's the price action for you. So we have a earnings call coming up soon for this one. I would expect the earnings call to probably be the thing that breaks it through, but 82.68, we're finding resistance there, A little bit of resistance there again today. It's probably a decent selling opportunity. And where to? Well, we only got this low last time to the 80. But overall, we could also get back down to 77.50. So I'd be drawing between 77.50, the 82 kind of 60 zone. Always go with the bodies. If you're new to technical analysis, bodies over wicks. More bodies over wicks than every single time. That's where the war ended. That's the most important thing. But Blizzard, Activision, trading in that little bit of a range. Bit of coiling going on there. All right, Antonio, I'll put it in the calendar and we'll have a look at that 28th of October. So when is that? Next Wednesday for me. Check the VIX. We haven't even looked at the VIX tonight, have we? VIX has been so boring. So we'll use the CBOE VIX here. We've got the VIX stuck still between a 25 body close. I mentioned it so many times, almost sick of talking about this one, but the 25 body close and this, we do have, of course, this rejection candle. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the VIX continues increase, gets through here, that maybe we do finally see this 30 break. 5 range here. If you're new to the channel, you haven't subscribed, definitely consider doing so, but this 5 channel range is where it's at. Remember, a close above here for the VIX, close above 30, significant fear coming back into the market. Also, a market going up and VIX going up, not good. We saw that in September. What happened in September? Market corrective dipped. Pretty nice pullback as well. So VIX going up here is not a positive for the market, especially if the market is going bullish. And it is still right now. So we had that, almost the, what's this, 11,960. So on the Nasdaq, we're really just trapping up. I mean, for the day, yes, you're looking for a body close above 11,950 and then a move to 12,000. So the 50 close above, if you're doing little kind of small trades, 50, get a close above there on this higher time frame, bring it back down, 11,950 buy zone kind of opportunity to the 12,000. That's the way I would play it throughout the day. It's not my favorite kind of style, but 12,000, 11,800, 12,200, they're all key zones for the Nasdaq. It's trading that 200 range. Prawns equals shrimp, crayfish equals lobster. Yep. What about yabby? Do you use yabby, Dave? Crawfish is a freshwater shrimp. It's not a lobster. Jonathan's teaching me here. I mean, I love fishing, man, but I don't I don't know what the hell a crawfish is. I thought a crawfish was like some kind of little yabby. VIX is going to break out close to the election, Matthew says. Yeah, that's fair, Matthew. It's a good point, actually. Why wouldn't we see increased volatility coming into the election and therefore an increased VIX, which creates an opportunity on the VIX? Why wouldn't you have more fear on the election day? Especially when we consider the way the votes are probably going to go, which is, you know, we're going to see a lot of heavy voting coming in. It might look like someone's winning and then someone's not winning. And then we've got multiple days of indecision due to all sorts of things. All of that's a possibility and a decently large possibility, isn't it? Yeah, I don't mind that. It's not bad. It's good thought process there. That's thinking outside the box a little bit. I like that one. FTSE falling hard today. So the FTSE is, for anyone that doesn't know, the UK 100. This is their top 100 stocks, or as I like to call them, dinosaur stocks. Unfortunately, this isn't a very good index here, but overall, this has not been a good year for the FTSE. Why is it doing so badly? There's just too much energy. There's too many kind of sectors that just don't do well in the UK. But UK's got some problems on it at the moment. That's unfortunate. At one point, the Australian market was pretty much mirroring this one. If you're looking, 6,000's always been a key psychological resistance. It's rejected that a few times. We had a shooting star there as well. Strong 5,800. Oh, look at that. Wow, 5,800, super strong buying off this zone. Wicking all over the place, big wicks last time. If it closes underneath here, you're going to like that 56 kind of 30, 5600. Don't mind this at all. Tracking the weekly 20 as well. It's pretty good technical trading in a channel, isn't it? This is a weekly chart. Not bad. It's actually better than most of the markets at the moment if you're trading, not if you're investing. 5,800. Wow. Lots of rejection buys there. Worthwhile setting alerts. Steve says, you always cite the Nasdaq index but don't mention QQQ. Do you think they are synonymous from a trading perspective? Yeah, I think it's fine to use either. I mean, obviously, Invesco Trust is fine. I think that you can definitely use this if you want to. For charts and stuff like that, for figuring out what's going on. I mean, here, if you're looking at this chart on QQQ, you'd be saying, well, we get a 291 close above, then all of a sudden we're going pretty bullish. It's like a little double bottom here. Go to the 1 hour. I was meaning to put this in some of the analysis, just I've got so many charts that we cover in the videos. So yeah, I think there's some serious levels here, and then that will be significant to the next move, being up to this 296 to 298 kind of a zone. You can pretty much mark that one up. Obviously, no body closes across. It's worthwhile putting a horizontal on there. We never got a body close above this zone, only 2 wicks. So again, what's that telling us about price action? Double rejection, no body close above the 292. We get a body close above any of this level. It's so significant that, especially as price continues to go through, if it gets above these wicks, it's going to be like a slingshot. It's going to continue. Algorithms are going to start piling in because a lot of shorters will have their stop losses above these wicks. So when those wicks are taken out, if they do get taken out, further movement happens. Not bad. Unexpected visit says, apparently after 5 weeks of hedge funds being net short in the Nasdaq, they switched last week to long by 1% after the short squeeze last Monday. Yeah, I saw that. So we had that on the previous information. I don't even know where the hell I put it. If you don't have one of these as well, make sure you get like an options expiry calendar. Very important for your trades. It's just a Market Watch freebie one. But yes, that was something I did have there. Few people saying that, of course, this current tech bubble is not sustainable. There's always these articles. Overall, these companies are making some money. You know, and Apple and stuff are making some money. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's go back over to the 15-minute closes now in the market. So we've had it. I was 3 minutes too late there. 12:48. So the 12:45s have closed. A slight body close here at the 11,956. So we'll be looking for support buying here now at around this 11,950. Do we get anything? It's 15-minute futures charts. Doesn't look like it. Again, futures charts suck. That body close is, it's there, but it's just not significant enough. On the left-hand side, we've got the SPX, the real chart. I think I'll be looking at QQQ more than this based on that charting that we saw before and focusing on this level. That's a significant level. The problem with 15-minute timeframes right now is they're just so manipulated. I don't know if anyone's been trading for a long time in 15-minute charts, but does anyone in the community feel that 15-minute charts have changed a lot in the last couple of years? I'd be interested to know other people's opinions on this. I talk to a lot of people that I know in the industry, and we all are starting to agree that algorithms are destroying smaller timeframes from an ability to hand trade them. Jimmy says, UK is the financial hub, banks doing poorly, that's why the FTSE's down. Yeah, so banks, energy sector, all sorts of things, Jimmy. You look at the breakdowns, very, very heavily, multiple sectors that are just doing so badly in this this crisis period. Bitcoin moving, says Mark. US 500 futures have made my eyes bleed today, says Buzz. Well, that's why sometimes we don't trade that Monday, hey Buzz. You can still use NDX, says Jeremy. Absolutely. Yeah, if you want the non-futures, so you can just put in your NDX, load up that, and then have a look at how it's trading. So you can use the exact same thing. Exact same level as the QQQ. 11.99. So that's exactly right. As Jeremy says, this is the one that you should be looking at. Stuart says, only started watching 15 after listening to you. Is that like you were watching 15 because you were you wanted to trade it, or you started moving up the time frames there, Stuart? Because 15 minutes, yeah, like I use them to show things on the charts, but overall you'd always be wanting to look at 1 hour and above, in my opinion. Jimmy says, we'll call it the crisis, has not affected Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix. They make up 40% of the market, especially in the Nasdaq of the market. These stocks are moving the market and not being affected as much. Yeah, they're doing better. They're just getting a speed. A few people have been asking for NEO. We'll do that as well. Doesn't look like we're going to get too much action here. Was IBM's release morning or afternoon? When was their release? Geez, that was a big move there, wasn't it? All right, so we'll do the NEO. Have a look at this stock. Jesus. Excuse me. That was a bigger move than I expected on NEO. Wow, that slingshot it out, didn't it? We've covered this a few times on the charts. I just don't follow it that much. So we've spoken a few times about the standard things that have been happening. The 20 moving average holding this beast stock all the way up. This beautiful little coil zone. But geez, that was impossible to trade. Wow. It gapped from a 22 to a 24 and then bulled up hard. That's the power of retail when it gets into something. I mean, I wouldn't have expected it to necessarily come back and hit the 22 because we knew that when it broke, it went hard. But that was a beautiful coil there. Right above the 20. Nice coil. Strong break. Great trade. Crazy now, though. Very, very high. Might go for like a 30, just slightly before a 30. Hits it. Find resistance. We talked about this stock loving its 10 zones. You know, it hit that just slightly above 20 last time. Found resistance. Slightly above 15, found resistance. Notice it's like a 15.50. So really it's a 15 if you look at where it was most likely going for. And then before that, it didn't even really care about the 10, but it did come and test the 10 from the top down. So I think overall for me on NEO, I'd be looking at the $5 to $10 kind of ranges. I'd be looking at the 30. I guess there's still room in it. It's very, very far away from the 20. Kind of terrifying. Jody says that $30 price point on NEO, lol. NEO was because of their upgrade. Yeah, I get it. I get there's an upgrade, but that's a euphoric kind of move off an upgrade. And did it last time as well. That's not, these upgrades, I think if you go back and look at these stocks in the future and you come back and look at them in the past, you'll be like, what the? Sometimes I find like that. With the stocks that move, I can only ever hold these stocks if I treat them as an investment. If I treat them as a trade, I'd be in and out way too often. But if I treat them as an investment and don't look at it, I think a top tip, if you're somebody that likes closing trades and you're a trader and an investor, have an investment account that you barely look at. Put a position in it, don't load up the account, have a different broker. All those types of things help. Then you won't close the trades. Don't trade. Oh, that's a good point. Don't trade and invest in the same account. Dangerous crap. Otherwise, you're tempted to press close all. You might have like an open trade, McDonald's up $10,000, took a couple of losses in trades. I might just close my McDonald's investment and then, it's break even. I'll go sleep well on that. That's a bad idea. We did look at Apple before. We're looking at that 117. Oops, AAPL. So 0.51 up now for Apple. So we're looking at that 117.22 zone, the 20 moving average, previous little bit of resistance there. Jimmy reckons $90 on Apple. Siddharth says IBM earnings is after close. Yeah, thought it might be. Buzz says stonks only go up. Absolutely. If you got good stonks. Stuart says, was to trade. Yeah, trading, intraday trading, Stuart. Look at the 1 hours, man. I only just started trading, to be honest. Yeah, 1 hour. Well, if you wanted the best time frame for trading, it's 4 hours, no question. 4 hour daily. 4 hour daily, weekly in stock. Daily, 4 hour, 1 hour commodities forex. Easy best time frames. Those multi 3 time frames are the best. Web, I will check out AYX for you because you comment so much on the videos, and I appreciate that. So AYX, Alterix. Man, look at the moving averages down here. It's like a dynamic support fest. If this stock did continue moving down here, Web, you got previous resistances, you've got moves here. Probably, could you take a fib because of the big breakout it had? I think so. Oh, what am I doing? Where the hell's my fib tool? It should be here. There's my fib. So if you took a fib of the whole move up. Now, a lot of people ask me about fibs and how you draw them. Draw wick to wick and draw the most likely kind of move that just happens. So say like over here, I'd be drawing from down here, this wick, up to here. Some people would draw here. I'd probably draw from down here to here. What you can do is, if you're not sure, draw the wick from here to the wick from here, the wick from here to the wick from here, and see if you get overlap. Sometimes you get overlap with 2 of the fibs. If you get overlap zone, it's often quite good. And obviously price action is the key most of the time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this come into 38.50 fib here. So much dynamic support there on the daily for AYX. So if it does continue to move down after that massive gap up, there's a huge amount of support here. 130, I probably think it's going to stop, like maybe a 132, there might be some buying. And then there's obviously strong support at 125. Nope, not bad there. Tesla, yeah, we'll check that out. Looks like we're not going to get too much action. Not surprising for a Monday going into stimulus thoughts, as in everybody's pretty hyped about it. So we had Tesla trapped here a little bit. We did see that fake break due to an upgrade, and I think also price change on the Model C and some other things. Overall, it needs to break either way now. If it does break down, the one thing is if people are looking, I don't even know why that line's like that, but if people are looking at this where they're basically drawing ascendings, and I've seen a few people drawing them through different time frames, then if it gets through the 20, it's going to create quite a lot of bust down to the 400, possibly even the 360. So this 20 must hold Tesla. We're into the announcement. So far, 0.5 is not that bullish. Siddharth said before, somebody said 454 into the open where the futures were trading, and then it would sell off, and certainly has started selling off. Remember, a crow's crack high. This is the thing about news events that's pretty cool. Let's say the news comes out and it's good for Tesla, and Tesla moves up and up here, and you get a close on a 1 hour above or 4 hour above. Most likely retail sentiment will push it into 500. Why is that? Because everyone jumps on board the Tesla train. We've seen that so many times. If it gets through this 20, it probably sells off into the 400. It aggressively sells as well. So I think there's a big volatility range here for Tesla. But I really like that idea someone had before about the VIX, and the fact the VIX was just going to increase. I'd be looking at the roll contract on that, but the VIX increasing into the election. I bet you it rolls before the election. Johnny Bravo says, I'm going to YOLO my stimulus on Hertz calls. Good luck, Johnny. Good luck. Silver will overreact each way, Liam. Generally, silver actually should be going the way of copper. If we're seeing a recovering market, usually you should see silver bulling overall. Silver has remained relatively intact. But if we do think there's a recovery and the government start, especially after the election, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see silver get a lot of rotation into. Again, doesn't matter if Republicans or Democrats win here. We should see an increased spike demand for silver. Remember, look at the monthly for silver. Many people forget what happened after the GFC. November, look at this. November 2008, the first 2 years, 1st of April, crazy overextension in silver, hyperbolic. And then followed by the blow off, followed by the classic 618 fib pullback. And then it's all over for the next couple of years. Never invest in silver after that. But for the first years, it's looking good. This is a nice pullback as well. If you fib the whole move, again, I must be getting too tired if I'm getting these fibs going on. But the fib of the whole move, we got the 38.2 into the 38.250. That's the zone, the area we want to see it pull up from. There still could be a lot of bullish momentum here for silver against the dollar. And I think the dollar is probably going to move lower long term over the next couple of years. Kodak says Planet Musk. Yeah, another classic case of not doing so well. All right, everybody. Well, I think I'm going to call it quits. It's 1 a.m. here in Australia. Obviously, we're not seeing too much. If we look around the markets, I think everybody will agree with that. Kind of expected a little bit. Still think to leave everyone with some ideas for the week. Obviously, earnings on the main earners are going to be important. If you're looking at other ideas into the election, no stimulus call could put pressure on XLY. We'll see whether that does happen. That is the consumer discretionary. Could make opportunities as well, potentially in things like Amazon. Maybe we'll see an overreaction and therefore an opportunity in XLY stocks. Amazon is another one we could be looking at. Baba, who knows? Overall, other things, maybe XLF, financials could become maybe decent little buy opportunities for value for smaller time frames. And I think other than that, you're just looking for key resistance breaks and support breaks on the Nasdaq and S&P 500. Continue watching, of course, the daily videos, and we'll be bringing those levels. Nasdaq is selling off a little bit here, and so is SPX. Notice the SPX gets that 3,500 psychological, sells off a little bit. That's more like it. Come on now. Close is very important. Remember, stimulus, supposedly it's all about how great the stimulus is, but people will probably be betting against it in only a few days. And when I stop this stream, it's going to fall off a cliff. That's always what happens. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for subscribing. Thanks for all the donations for coffees tonight. And of course, thank you very much to the TC crew and the trading community in general. Appreciate it. And I'll leave you with some music. Bye for now.